Guys, how's it going? I'm up here flying today with you guys' favorite commercial pilot. We got Chris.
Here I
Um,
am.
we're doing an instrument cross country right now, like we've done a lot in the past. To Stennis, which is in Mississippi. So we're heading there right now, cruising up here at 6,000 feet. And today we're gonna do a video on all the systems on board, which make flying the Cirrus super easy, a lot of fun, and very, very safe at the same time. So we're gonna go ahead and walk you through a lot of the features that we have on board and what really sets the Cirrus aircraft apart. It's a multitude of things. The comfortability is awesome. It's like you're sitting in a Cadillac that's powered by a Ferrari engine. That's how I can describe it. It's super duper intuitive, extremely safe. Um, Climate control. I mean, just there's so many great features that we're gonna get into and show you guys. Alrighty, Chris. So, what do you think we show them first? What's your favorite feature on the Cirrus SR20 Generation 6?
Well, you know, when you fly an instrument, it's awfully nice to get the autopilot cooked on right as you are at a safe altitude, which is usually around 1,000 feet. And we went into the clouds around 1,200 feet, so it's nice to have that thing set up with your heading and your altitude buttons pressed. And then if they're done on the ground, all you have to do in the air is push the autopilot on and it'll take over. Once you get your clearance direct to the destination, you just press direct and enter and switch from heading to nav, and you're on your way like we are now. We're cruising at 6,000 feet, direct route to Stennis. The airplane's doing all the work. All we're doing is monitoring fuel, systems, and power.
Yeah, as Chris was saying, the autopilot system is right here. So here's our autopilot panel. This one right here. So on the autopilot panel, we have a ton of different selections that us as the pilots can make. Our autopilot system, it's a dual axis servo system. So essentially we get pitch and roll inputs out of the autopilot system. So over here on the far left side, we have our course guidance. So we can either fly a heading if air traffic control gives us a heading to fly, or we can fly navigation mode, which is our GPS. So we're on nav mode, so it's going to follow this magenta line right here all the way to our destination. And then in the middle is basically our flight director selection and also our autopilot arm button. So the flight director is going to be this magenta guy up top. That is what we're going to basically follow. Autopilot engage button's right above it, and then also that blue level button you see is a safety feature that we have on the Cirrus. So essentially, anytime the pilot becomes incapacitated or the pilot, gets into an unusual attitude and he's not quite sure what's up, what's down, left or right because he's disoriented from being in the clouds or whatever it could be, if you actually press that blue level button, what it's going to do is it's going to fly the aircraft straight and level wherever you press that blue level button at. So, for example, I know me and Chris have been disoriented a handful of times in other aircraft, and it'd be awesome to have that button to kind of just press, and then you can gather your thoughts, you can regain your orientation, and then resume. So that blue level button, it's a great safety feature, and it's also a great tool for the pilots. And then right over here is our altitude panel. So this little wheel is how we control our rate of climb in either a airspeed indicated knots or a vertical speed foot per minute. So flight level change is going to climb or descend us at a indicated airspeed. VNAV will do a descent that we have programmed, and then vertical speed will climb or descend us at a vertical speed foot per minute. And then we have the altitude that will just maintain where you're at. And then that wheel will select where we're at or what we want, and then same as the heading wheel. So that's our autopilot system. It's pretty awesome. You can see the stick kind of moves around a little bit. Those are these servos basically correcting for wind, updrafts, downdrafts, whatever. It takes a lot of workload off of us pilots, and it's an amazing thing to have. So, when you're on autopilot, you don't just want to, kick your feet up and start reading the newspapers. I mean, you still want to monitor everything. There's a lot going on. It just takes a lot of the workload off.
080.
All right, so next up, we're going to kind of walk you guys through the onboard avionics we have. So in the Cirrus SR20 G6, we have the Garmin Perspective Plus. It looks extremely similar to the G1000 that Garmin has, but as you can see, there's no comm panel in the middle of the screens, and then also there's a lot less buttons and knobs, so it cleans it up a lot. The reason why there's no buttons and knobs on the screens is because we actually have a FMS flight management system, and basically it's a massive keypad for us to type all of our inputs in, or change stuff on our flight plan, plug in new frequencies. We can type in our squawk code, so on and so forth. So over here on the left, we have our primary flight display. It's going to give us all of our primary instruments. We have our airspeed on the left, attitude gyro in the middle, slip skids up top, and then we have our altitude on the far right, and then we have our heading right there on the bottom. So that's going to be the primary flight display, and then over here, our second screen is our MFD. It's our multifunction display. So on the MFD, we have a ton of different options. As you see, we have all of our engine parameters on the left there, and then right here on the right, we have a moving map that we can zoom in and out of. We can move the cursor around and click on airports and stuff, and figure out frequencies. That's super similar to the G1000s. We can also pull up different charts and different maps. Like right here is a IFR chart. We have VFR charts, so on and so forth. Let's see what else we can show you guys. Lots of airport info. We can find if they have fuel services. We can find all the frequencies, the runway lengths, all that fun stuff. And then right here, check this out. This is one of my favorite parts. All of us pilots know that we're required to calculate weight and balance. Anytime we go fly, it's a FAA requirement. But in the Cirrus, we actually have a built-in weight and balance, basically table. So we can input all of our different weights at the stations, and then the airplane will calculate those.
Contact tower.
It'll find out the CG in the moment, and then it'll put it in the envelope and show where we're at. It'll also show our trend. So the diamond is our current, and then you see that green line is our fuel burn. So it's going to show that we're going to shift forward and obviously become lighter as we burn fuel. And then we get our takeoff weight, current weight, and then fuel on board, all that cool stuff. We also have a fuel meter on board. We can select where we're at, and then it'll plug that into the weight and balance for us, which is super duper nice. Here's our flight plan. We're going direct. Standard classic Cirrus pilot thing. Always direct enter. And then here is another awesome feature on the Cirrus. We have built-in checklists. So for the built-in checklist, we just click checklist, and then we can run any checklist we want. We have different groups. We have our emergency procedures, abnormal, normal procedures, everything from the POH, which is awesome. And then we can select any checklist we want, which is super duper great. Another cool thing is right here, if I click checklist, and say we have an emergency, if I just click emergency, it automatically takes me right to the emergency page, which is pretty sweet. So it's a little bit about our avionics. They're very, very pilot friendly and extremely easy to operate.
All right, so one of the really unique safety features of the Cirrus aircraft is the parachute systems. Its acronym is CAPS.
Airport departure is about 517 Kilo Mike.
It's this little guy right up here. And
Number 517 Kilo Mike, airport
of an
departure, radar
emergency,
contact, climate
loss of
maintain
engine power, or
10,000,
any other
turn
thing,
right, direct 10.
disorientation, where you feel you've lost control of the airplane, you have to mentally be prepared to execute this procedure. You pull this thing down, and then it takes about 40 pounds of torque to activate this thing. So it takes quite a bit. You got to do a pull-up on this thing, and that will activate the parachute system. It'll keep the wings level. You shut the fuel down. You turn the fuel off. You turn the electrical power off, and you prepare for a landing with the parachute system. And you got to brace for that because it's a jolt, but it's safe. These the chairs, the cockpit seats are designed for this, and you have to have your both feet flat on the floor, your hands straight, and let the plane just land and settle. Once it settles, you should be able to open the door and walk away. And if you can't open the door, we actually have a safety hammer right here that you can pull out, beat the window, push it out, and climb out the window. You want to keep the doors closed under most circumstances as you activate the CAP system, unless you're over water. And if you're going to make a water emergency landing, then you want to go ahead and crack the doors so that you can open it when you're in the water and the water pressure doesn't keep it from opening. It's a tremendous thing to know is here. That with the levels of the wings, the backup systems, All these things make flying a Cirrus just one of the safest aircraft in the sky. This unique parachute system has saved many lives. And it's just a matter of learning how to use it, be comfortable with it, and mentally be prepared to pull it. It's your first course. It shouldn't be a second thought. When you know you got to do it, you pull it. It's great to know it's here.
Oh yeah, sure is. Whenever you're in doubt, pull caps.
Exactly.
After you're on the checklist. Check it out. We are up over the Gulf right now. We've got a lot of clouds out today, but we're in between like a little layer right now. You can see over the Gulfport area. There's a pretty good, broken overcast layer. But we found some pretty nice air. There's no one flying today. On a traffic map, there's no one up. I mean, there's a little bit of weather. It's not the nicest day to fly, but it's perfectly smooth up here, and it's perfect IFR conditions. So me and Chris, we're making the most out of it, like always. It's always a great person to fly with.
All right, guys, thanks for watching the video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it and learned something new about the Cirrus SR20 G6. There's a lot more features than just what we covered, but those are our favorites. And I'm sure that you guys can kind of understand why we enjoy flying Cirrus so much. They're so intuitive, very easy to fly, very pilot friendly, and they're extremely capable of different missions, flights, super comfortable, and most importantly, very, very safe aircraft. So if you guys have any questions about anything that we talked about or didn't talk about that you're curious about, please drop a comment of that as well so we can go over that. We'd love to keep teaching you guys. And yeah.